Hi everyone, my name is Megan Norton-Newbanks and I'm the co-host of The Belonging Project. And today we are continuing our conversation with Lois Bushong. Lois is a licensed marriage and family therapist with deep expertise in working with third culture kids, adult third culture kids, and globally mobile families. She is the author of Belonging Everywhere and Nowhere, Insights into Counseling the Globally Mobile. So Lois, you've been talking about several of the generational differences. We've covered the digital space. I'm wondering also about in family units, but also in communities, what role does shared cultural memory play in creating belonging? And how do TCKs and younger generations navigate belonging when they don't necessarily share the same cultural touchstones as their peers or family members?
I think this is really important because shared cultural memories, or I say rituals, can really create that sense of belonging in a family. Like for example, you can a family that's a Jewish family that's living overseas, where maybe they're not Jewish, they can continue to practice the Jewish traditions as a family. We continue to practice Christmas. When he came to the States, we practiced La Noche Buena, the night before Christmas. When I lived in Central America, I would go to the U.S. Embassy for Thanksgiving. So those touchstone events, those rituals, were very important to help me feel like I belong to my family. I belong to that world. Our Bushong family, like I said, we celebrate Christmas Eve more because it's Latin American. We grew up in Latin America. So we always have refried beans, chicken and rice, guacamole, all that stuff, Christmas Eve, and so forth. So when you study trauma in children, they always say, try to keep the family rituals with the kids because it creates a sense of safety for the kids in spite of the whatever just happened. Still read them a story before they go to bed, send them to bed at the same time. And so I think that helps a sense of belonging. This is what we do as a family. Megan, can you think of, as you were growing up, were there any cultural traditions that you maintained as a family that were part of your identity?
Yeah, you're drawing back memories of Christmas, of what we would do for birthdays, those annual traditions, the decorations that would come out, and even into now adulthood, going back to my parents' house and seeing that those decorations remain. Those are really special moments of belonging that reflect back that this is still part of our family message of who we are, and they might not be expensive or
right
in the eyes of what monetary value they have, but I mean some are handmade decorations, but
right,
it's so significant to know that,
like a birthday plate or something like that for the person that has a birthday that day.
Yes, yeah, for bringing that up. That's a
Doreen?
Oh, so many. I think about the shared cultural things that we have actually brought back from other countries. Things like living in Japan, and we now live in Mexico, so we have Mexican saltillo tiles all throughout the house. And yet, I like people to take off their shoes in the house because that's a Japanese tradition. So I look at things like this weekend is almost St. Patrick's Day. And someone reached out to me because last year we went to a big St. Patrick's festival where they had bagpipe players from Scottish heritage. And so we are now living in Mexico.
We have bagpipes.
We listen to bagpipes. every time I walk down my hallway, I have an enormous Saudi door hanging on my wall. I walk into my living room, I'm faced with a white Japanese wedding kimono. I mean, my story lives in every bit of the things I surround
Yep.
myself with.
Yep.
So I
Yep.
think that your sense of belonging can be out-pictured as well as in-pictured. Like you were talking
Yes.
about the mirror. And I think that I think it's really healthy to use these items as sort of mirrors.
Right. Yeah. See my international dolls up there?
Yes. Yeah.
In your bookcase.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I
So,
think
so
yeah.
it helps you feel like you belong in your family because your family has their unique history.
Yeah, I mean, you just walk in our house and there's a story. People go, what's the deal with this? That's the American way. They say, what's the deal with this thing? And then of course out comes the story. And
Right.
it's a way to elicit one story. And I think as we elicit other people's stories, we're inviting them to belong to us.
Right. Good. Well, they see your authentic self. It's
Yes.
not just the you can have Zoom with the fake background, like you're sitting on the beach, but that's not real.
No, no, no. Very,
Megan,
very.
you were going to add something.
Well, I wanted to segue into asking you about then what additional strategies have you found effective in helping individuals from different generations bridge their varying approaches to create belonging,
Yeah,
meaningful cross-generational connections?
I think you just have to find that sense of belonging inwardly. You can't find it in your physical place. I want to throw in a plug for Megan's book because Megan's book, the title of it is Belonging Beyond Borders, How Adult Third Culture Kids Can Cultivate a Sense of Belonging. That's one of the best books I have seen on the market to help somebody walk through and discover, where do I belong? Because she has concrete illustrations there. So walking through a book like that, like Megan's book, can help you figure out internally, where do I belong? I like to use metaphors. I mean, I use metaphors with clients. And so what I say in developing our sense of belonging, especially for those of us who are third culture kids or expatriates that have moved internationally a lot, visualize it like getting on a plane with your carry-on baggage. And with your carry-on, you can haul something that's really, really heavy, and you start getting upset at yourself because you can't lift it up over the rack and stick it up there. I mean, I can't anymore. I always have to ask for help. Well, sometimes it's like we have too much stuff that we have carried from place to place, too much unresolved baggage, which makes the carry-on really too heavy. And so I think we have to get to the place where we have to just kind of, dump it all out onto the ground, hopefully not in the middle of the airport, and sort through it. What's important to me? What brings value to me and who I am, and get rid of the rest.
So I have a question. Is that like examining your values, or is that
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
That's like examining my values, and I want to. Well, I can jump in. Well, hang on to that thought because I'm going to jump on that in a minute. But then, when we fly in a plane, okay, this is as TCKs, we like plane stories. So when I fly, there is not going to be a perfect country that I'm going to land in that's going to make me perfect and who I really want to be. It's what's inside that's important. So if I resolve who I am inside, and I like me, I like my friends like me, the authentic relationships, and they may just be 2 or 3 people. It doesn't have to be 25.
Mm.
I'm okay wherever I land. The
Yes.
country is not important. The place, the physical house isn't important, but it's who I am that's really important. And then to get back to what Doreen said, it's we're talking about the values and so forth.
Yes.
I thought of this metaphor and I went looking to see where I got it from, but I can't find it in 5 minutes. But one of my favorite authors said, life is like in a sailboat. We're in a sailboat going across a lake, and we're always having to adjust the sails, adjust where we're going, to move the instruments around to ultimately get to our destination. We don't just go straight like a train, but it's like in a sailboat. And I think that's what it is with our values, our goals, our sense of belonging, the things that are important to us. As we grow and develop emotionally, or move through the stages of life, we're constantly adjusting them. We're constantly tweaking them. It's not major tweaks, but we're constantly moving. And I love that metaphor. Because I can tweak it, but it's not that I've changed a personality. It's not that I've changed my value systems drastically, but maybe just a little bit. So.
And Lois, I mean, your book, it's belonging everywhere and nowhere. So will we always, as TCKs, encounter the question, where do I belong or I don't belong?
Yes. I think you will. Sometimes my clients, adult TCK clients, get upset because they'll say, will I ever resolve this? Will I ever never grieve because of my past? Will I ever feel like I completely fit and I'm set now for life? And it's like, no, because now I'm old as the hills and I still deal with it. Because it's a work in progress. If it was static, we'd be dead. We'd be flatline.
So I have a question. I recently have come to this decision that home is a decision, is not a place. I rehome myself. It's a decision, and do my actions align with my decision?
Yeah.
Is that true for belonging as well? I mean, if you decide you're going to belong to yourself or you're going to belong to a community, don't you have to make a clear decision and then take action?
Right. Yeah, because it's what we call cognitive behavioral therapy.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. It's like what I tell myself impacts how I feel.
Okay.
Right? So if I tell myself, no, I mean, you may not fit perfectly, but I belong here.
Yeah.
I belong in Indiana.
Yeah.
I can't believe I actually said that out loud because I really don't feel like I belong in Indiana.
But there's a portion of you that belongs in Indiana, because I think sometimes we think that all of us has to be all in on a place. And I'm like, no, part of me is still Scottish. A part of me is very, very Saudi. And, here I am in Mexico. So there's another part of me that's generating belonging for Mexico, right?
Right. There are no mountains in Indiana. It's flat. It's corn. I grew up in the rainforest. This is not the rainforest. I grew up speaking Spanish as much as I spoke English. This is not Indiana.
So this demonstrates your heart. I mean, this demonstrates the dichotomy of belonging, because you're revealing your heart and your love and your childhood right here.
Right.
And then you're reflecting on, and this is where I am. And so that is exactly, I think, the essence of belonging. What do you think?
Right. This is like talking to you, to writing about global nomads, by reading books about global nomads, by reading books in Spanish, or whatever. that's who I am inside. That's who I am emotionally.
Yes.
But my physical house is
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
But it's who's inside that's important.
And
I
is,
love that.
yeah, isn't it true also that then it's important to have some TCK connections and international communities to validate that part of what you're not finding
Yes,
in a local environment?
yes, very much so. And that's where we go back to when we were talking about the importance of the media. Yeah, that's why it's important for me to maintain my TCK connections by phone, by email, you know, or whatever. And then when people come to town, such as Megan, we go hang out at an Indian restaurant,
That's right.
which I never lived in India, but we go to ethnic places.
Yes.
So you take advantage of different opportunities.
Mm.
Mhm.
So what do I do with my TCK clients to help them develop a sense of belonging? First of all, I validate their experiences. And I do that mainly by listening, I have, like I said, I'm doing coaching, some limited coaching now, and I'm trying to focus on my coaching on third culture kids or expatriate community. And that population that I coach, we're always going, oh yeah, I know that. We did that. And so we validate their experiences. Yesterday I was talking with someone, I forgot what he was saying, what he was talking about. And I said, you are such a TCK. Only a TCK would have done that. So you validate their experiences and who they are. And you normalize the struggle. With a couple of my clients, we've talked about this. It's like they get upset when somebody in their community will say, when the TCK is trying to share their story, and somebody said, oh yeah, I know just what you feel like. I spent a year abroad as an exchange student, and so I know exactly what you feel like. And you go in your head, because it's too polite to say it out loud. I mean, impolite to say it out loud. It's like, no, you don't. You don't have a clue.
Mm.
So you normalize some of these responses. It's like, yeah, other TCKs would probably agree with you that it's like, it's not quite the same. Another thing that I do with my clients is I have them journal. They can journal about their experiences, about what they felt. They can write letters that they send or don't send. I have them look for areas, communities where there are various cultures. Like with me, it would be with Spanish cultures. So I always check out the latest Hispanic restaurant in town. And if my friends want to go to a Hispanic restaurant, they always call me and say, Lois, have you been here? What's it like? And so, or, international grocery stores, the radio, on the internet, on TV. You can tune into the news, the Today Show in Spanish or in whatever. And then I have them find international communities such as where other TCKs hang out. The one I was talking to yesterday, he was brainstorming about if I thought he could start a group for TCKs in his community. And then we got to talking about international foods, and that's where we were lost. But so, those are various ways you can travel the world. Every 2 years, I like to go someplace internationally because I've got to get my fix, or else I just would die. And then I say, if you get stuck, where it's like, I don't really feel like I belong any place. I just cannot figure this out. I'm just a weird duck. I don't fit. then you might check in with some coaching or some counseling. And the best group that I found for counselors, I'm no longer a part of it because I'm supposed to be retired, is the International Therapist Directory. They're professionals, and they're supposed to have experience with TCKs. And then if you can't find one, in fact, I have one of these types of individuals as one of my coaching clients right now, grief therapist. Grief therapists are good people to work with, especially if you can find a grief therapist that's lived overseas. And I'm working with one, we're trying to figure out, how can she capitalize on her TCK-ness as a grief therapist. Or if you had a trauma therapist can also help you a lot. At the end of my counseling, I used a group here in town that specializes in trauma therapy. And a lot of times, if I worked with somebody that had experienced a trauma, which then stunted their growth, remember we talked about Maslow's hierarchy of need? If you don't deal with this part, you're going to get stuck. So you're not going to be able to figure out self-esteem and all this other stuff. So you resolve it. And so they would work with the trauma therapist on the trauma, and then they'd come back to me. We'd work on the other stuff. And then there used to be a mentorship program that I was aware of, but I don't think they're functioning anymore. No. So it's, TCKs mentoring other TCKs, or that are struggling, especially TCKs that are struggling with a sense of belonging.
Yeah.
And then sometimes even just going to conferences where there are other TCKs, and sometimes even your TCKs don't fit in those conferences.
Yeah.
And so you have to, and this is what I keep saying to my clients, you have to keep trying. And then when you find that person that you can be real with, authentic with, be your true self, work out the tough parts, then you develop that sense of belonging with that person.
Excellent. Well, that's some fantastic solutions for the subject of belonging, particularly for third culture kids and expats. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Do you have one final thought for us?
Well, I think if you feel stuck, talk with a trusted friend and work it out. Maybe together you can work through Megan's book. That would be a good experience as two people, trusted friends doing it together, because then you get to know each other and yourself as you're working through it together. Somebody you can be authentic with.
So in closing, we have a little surprise for you. We're going to do a little mini lightning round. Would you like to ask the first question, Megan?
Oh, my man. Is this, I hope this isn't like one Trivial Pursuit thing, because we don't do good at this.
No, just getting to know a little bit more about your authentic self. So Lois, if you could teleport to any country right now for 24 hours, where would you go?
I think where I was recently, but I would go to I visited Spain a year ago, and I loved it. The only bad thing was I broke my ankle when I was in Spain. So I couldn't do all the things I wanted to do, and I'm a huge fan of Quixote and Sancho. Huge. My house is filled with them. So I would want to go back to either Spain, or for 24 hours. If I went back to Honduras where I grew up for 24 hours, that would just be way too short of a time. Too many people to see.
Yeah. And so if you had one language that you could suddenly be downloaded into your brain without learning it, and you were just given the gift of speaking this language, what language would it be, in addition to the ones you already have access to?
Okay, I was going to say in addition to those?
Yeah, in addition.
Probably French. because when I was in Spain, I ran across people that only speak French, and we tried English and we tried Spanish, it didn't work. So I would say French.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for revealing your.
I thought you were going to say, what am I currently reading?
Oh, well, let's know. Let's know.
Let us know
What
that
currently
too.
reading?
I'm currently reading a biography about Cher.
Oh, okay. Excellent.
That's awesome.
That's terrific. So thank you so much, Lois,
You're
for.
welcome. It's been fun. Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. Megan?
Yeah, so much wisdom, Lois, and appreciate your professional experience and working across generations and belonging.
Thank you very much. You guys are so kind.
So listeners, if you would please like, review, and make some comments, connect with us. All of the resources that have been shared today are on the show notes. And just for today, this is Nomadic Diaries with Lois Bushong, Megan Norton, and Doreen Cumberford signing off and saying sayonara, masalama, and hasta luego.